get over here from work and whatnot. A lot of stuff going on, but the fans, like always, showed up at Autzen strong in the way that only Autzen can do, and they were enormously impactful in our game tonight. So really fired up to see them, and certainly fired up to see Jonathan Stewart. That's a big running back. It was great to see him, and our guys were really excited to see a guy like him show up. And we want to continue along the lines of getting our alumni back here to see all the things that we are doing. That being said, open to questions.
James, on the left.
Mario, I wouldn't ordinarily start with injuries, but when it's to players this significant, Breland did not look very upbeat and was on crutches. Holland did look a bit upbeat, but in a walking boot. What's the update on those two?
Well, I think a couple of injuries, a couple more actually. We feel that Troy and Javon are pretty minor. We're going to further assess Jake Breland. So as soon as we get word on that, we'll get that to you guys.
On the right, Ryan.
Mario, Montez had only had 2 interceptions all year, and it's been well documented how well he played here last time. What do you think the key was to just taking his normal game and just throwing that completely out, 4 interceptions?
Well, I'll tell you, it's really interesting to study him because I'm sure you guys look at all the analytical stuff. The guy, he's a great football player, and his completion percentage and tight window throws is arguably the best in the Pac-12, one of the best in the country. So, but, the key is, you've got to affect the quarterback. You've got to set edges in the run game. You've got to affect the quarterback. And our guys did that. And when they couldn't get there, just the discipline of our back end, the back seven, because the linebackers you saw were instrumental in taking away some of the crossing routes and taking away some of the spot routes, really made it difficult for him. And that combination is it's worked for us, this season so far, and it's certainly been effective.
You're on the left, Matt.
I asked you about the explosion plays on Monday, and you said they're instrumental in terms of scoring on drives. How do you feel like your offense was able to show that big play ability tonight?
Well, we did. Justin really made it a point of emphasis this week just to take his preparation to a different level, and those guys around them as well. And the offense, we knew we were close. We knew we were closing in on some really big plays, and today we saw them in all different facets. Right, we saw them in the run game, the pass game, and some of the play action stuff. So it's a trend we certainly want to continue.
On the right, Tyson.
Javon comes off and Hockey comes in, and it might have been that first play. He just absolutely pops a dude right at the line and had several more plays like that on that drive. And, even like MJ Cunningham came in and made some plays when Troy was out. Just what sort of impact does that depth on this defense give you guys, especially in those types of situations?
Well, at this time of year, it's going to be tough to be successful without it. And it all goes with the way you practice. I mean, these things are eye-openers, right? When you watch film tomorrow with your team, you've got MJ there and you're going to have Hockey there. And, how many times in a walkthrough or when it was time to get your reps were you completely prepared to make sure when this moment came up that you were ready to go and play at a high level? And they have been. And so what happens is now it's live action. Now it's for real. And there's production, right? There's a successful performance, successful play. So it all relates back to the way we practice, the standards that we hold our players to, that our coaches hold the players to, and more importantly, the standards that our players hold themselves to. But, yeah, he did pop that guy very hard.
Steve, on the right.
Mario, and those two go out, and then they were 1 yard away from getting it to 17-10, but then you guys get the turnover, and then you go down and score, and suddenly it's 17-3, and then come out and get the pick on the second. It seemed like about a 3-minute stretch of game time there. It went from being really close to suddenly you guys were able to pull it away.
Well, it did, and we felt that, they're a high-powered offense. They've scored a lot of points on a lot of people. And, we didn't know exactly what to expect. We know we're obviously just doing some really great things on defense, and that tonight was going to be the biggest test of them all. And our offense knew that we have been close to making some really big plays that tonight, they had to happen. There was going to be a very little wiggle room if they happen to get their offense going. So, yeah, that 3-minute span was, I think, a 21-point swing, and it certainly gave us tremendous momentum.
Back right, over here.
Coach, it seems like game in and game out, Jalen Reed scoring touchdowns for your team. Can you talk about how big of an asset he is for your offense?
Well, besides the fact that we think he's a great player. I think he's proven that week in and week out. I can't emphasize enough how tough he is. I'm talking about mentally and physically, because that guy gets those legitimate, more than nicks, gets some real, has taken some physical shots, and he just finds a way to fight through. He doesn't miss a rep in practice. the guy legitimately he's one of the leaders on the football team, and it's great that it's also showing up in his play.
Right on the middle, Eric.
Verone had 2 interceptions, also tipped a ball that was picked off by Bryson. I wonder if you can just talk about what you've seen from him and if there have been indications of this kind of throughout the season and in practice.
Verone is one of the smartest players that you'll see. I mean, he knows everybody's assignment. He knows where his help is. He understands exactly where to drop. He understands route structures as it relates to formations and personnel groupings and down and distance. And he's a guy that in practice, I mean, 'cause I help the offensive scout team run plays against the defense. And as I'm getting a play ready, Verone's like shouting out what it is. I'm looking. The guy must be looking at the script or something like that, but he's not. The guy really is a student of the game, and all of his hard work is really paying off. He has the confidence of his teammates.
Raider James on the left.
The last 2 weeks, Mario Cyrus has had the most meaningful carries of his career. It's been when the game is closer, and he's converting. He's either converting or he's scoring. What has changed most recently? Because we talked in the spring about how he had asserted himself and earned a bigger role, but these last 2 weeks, you put him in, and he keeps delivering.
Well, I don't think much has changed. I just think we got to find ways to get guys touches. I mean, you look at our football team, a great example, Brady Aiello, right? Brady's a heck of a player, and so for us, we treat those guys as co-starters. Him and Dallas, they split time, and he's on the field. One of them's on the field all the time. And you could go on down the line at wide receiver, same kind of stuff, right? Where it's a right kind of balance. Everybody's getting their reps, and you know what? It's Cyrus's turn. He's earned it, and he's made the most of it.
Back middle.
Coach, there's obviously the 4 interceptions, and you talked about some of the guys in the secondary individually, but can you just talk about the unit as a whole? I mean, they shut down one of the best receivers in the Pac-12 today in Chenault.
They were excited about it. I think they know the caliber of player that they were playing against. They knew the challenge. And these guys, they just look forward to it all week. These guys play with a lot of confidence, and it's not false confidence. They have confidence because of the way they work, the amount of technical and fundamental stuff that they do with Coach Hayward, Coach Dante. And you see them, if you look at these guys from the middle of their sophomore year on, every single game, they're just getting better and better and better. So really happy for them, really proud of them. And again, I think they're just scratching the surface.
Front left back.
Your best rushing total of the year, your best yard per carry of the year. I think Verdell had his longest run of the year. What just clicked for you offensively? What led to the success on the ground?
Well, I think we were building upon what we did last week. I think part of it is it was designed well, it was called well, and most importantly, the guys up front, they did it well. They blocked it well. CJ saw it well. I mean, we're starting to get in sync, and it's paying off. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you chip away at the run game eventually, and once you get it right, it's going to really work, and certainly tonight it hit on all cylinders.
Front right, Warren.
Coach, this defense is really making a name for itself now. I'm just wondering how much you feel that they've really grown from the beginning of the year, just intelligence-wise, finding all the right places, talking, communication. And I'm also curious about the fine line of being too aggressive with the penalties tonight. I think 10 penalties for over 100 yards.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a fine line between being too aggressive and maybe not smart? And
I think there's a clear line when it's an aggressive penalty, like a legitimate high-effort play that you went lights out and you misjudged something by a fraction. Then I'd say, you know what, you could live with that. What you don't want to ever live with are the careless ones. That's when the line is just crystal clear and big, and you can't cross it. You can't cross it against, not against, that's a good team we play, but you can't cross it in a situation where, man, the thing is tight and it could swing the thing one way or the other. So, but I think if you look back at us during spring ball, you saw a complete transformation of the defense, the way it's taught, the way it's coached, the scheme itself. And the amount of pride taken by the players is still the most impressive things. These guys attack it. These guys attack, and I get to watch it every single day, so certainly excited for what is to come.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Student athletes back in the back.